to share with you one of his most powerful and personal stories. It truly is, and it's a story that feeds directly into a conversation about leadership and about success, and it all began because of a close, very personal encounter with a female lion. So, would you please welcome to the stage Richard Field.
But with the female lion, with small cubs, the cubs can't run away, and her maternal instinct is through the roof. So you've got a very dangerous situation. Now, a big female lion like that one, the tracks that I saw, she weighs about 140 kilograms. She runs twice as fast as Usain Bolt on a good day. She's got teeth that are about this size, huge paws, and she's capable of killing an 800 kilogram Cape buffalo bull on her own. You don't want that running at you. And I certainly didn't want that running at me. And so as I hopped into the vehicle that day and I started driving, following the tracks, I'm just thinking, Rich, just don't do anything stupid. And I think, hang on a sec, let me just have one last look at these cub tracks. So I kneel down. And I hear this little rustle in the bush. And I could see this lioness, and now she's barreling down the banks of the Savuti Channel towards me. Now I can see her. I'm thinking, she's got to stop, she's got to stop, she's got to stop. If she doesn't stop, I'm dead. You know what? She didn't stop.
I'm really happy to hear from a person who's got a real life experience.
I love the way that he talked us through what it was to be in the gap, that space between life and death, and what comes up for you when you're in that gap.
I was still conscious, but all the fear immediately disappeared, and it was replaced with an overwhelming sadness. I just entered the gap. Now, the gap is the moment in between life and death, where you have an opportunity to evaluate the life that you've lived. It is the ultimate moment of truth. You will never have a more honest moment with yourself. And so what I've come to see is that the gap was a major gift, because it showed me where my life was and where I actually wanted it to be. And now I've found that I have a tool which is helping me to start bridging that gap, and that is personal responsibility.
I thought Rich was great today. The whole concept of taking on, it's you make what you want out of anything in life.
Now I show this photo because when people look at me now, they think, well, look, he looks like a young Hugh Jackman. He doesn't look like he got attacked by a lion. People don't want to hear about personal responsibility because it makes them uncomfortable. And why does it make them uncomfortable? Because we all have our lions sitting there somewhere, everybody. But we don't always know what to do with them. For many of us, all we see is what happens to us and how we've been affected. And therefore, all we know how to do is blame.
He's described how we relate leadership to everyday life, and that's just a fantastic outcome, I think, from the story that he told.
If you're blaming something outside of yourself for the situation in which you find yourself, you've just given away your power to change that situation. You've handed it over, and you've actually handed it over to the very thing that you're blaming. Leaders have their lions. In fact, they've got lions coming at them from a lot of different directions, but they don't blame them. They don't blame their team. They don't blame their circumstances. They don't blame their industry. They don't blame the economy. People don't listen to the words that you say. They follow what you do. And so if you want to create a culture of responsibility, it's got to start at the top and start filtering through demonstration.
The way he unpacks the story and talks about the steps that contribute towards how we can all take personal responsibility is a really good story.
And so I would encourage you, we've got a weekend coming up, have a think about the things that are on that list and see if there is potential for you to take ownership of any of those things. Become aware of your blame, ask yourself the 3 questions and see if you can start owning it, because if you want to change it, you have to own it. Thank you very much.